hope you all are doing really well today. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day, as always, to spend a little time with me, Helene, at Cabin Fever Crochet, your yarn-happy little getaway and beyond. Well, if you have been with me for a little while or just joining, you may have noticed I haven't been on in a bit. Everything is fine health-wise, but we've had some things going on that has pretty much taken priority over everything and are still working through it. And until I can get back to my tutorials, I do have some things lined up for you. I came across this really, what I thought was very interesting article, lots of information and resources on the wonders of natural yarn dyeing in this monthly free publication that we get. And so I wanted to share that with you, and I'm going to go into a little more detail. I did some research on some of the different natural elements that are used that I weren't familiar with, so that I could understand what they were and know how they were pronounced. And then also the book type and other resources. I'm going to have all those links listed for you in the description box too, if that's something that you've been curious about or interested in. But once I clicked on one, I tell you, it just opened up a whole nother realm, a whole nother world of it. I was like, whoa, this can get, as with any type of subject, can get very involved and very in depth. But I think there are some that are more comprehensive and than others, and are really good resources. So I'll get into that a little bit too. But just briefly, I want to tell you about this neat publication. I really enjoy getting it. And just a note from the publisher, now the North Columbia Monthly, it's distributed throughout northeastern Washington State, and it's for sharing stories. And the stories, all different kinds, from personal, nature, different things that might be happening in other parts of the world that bring together a connection with what might be happening or of interest around here as well. And so it's from nature and art and books and everything in between. And so these stories, it says that for sharing stories that we can relate to, imagine, or feel. And it's about where and how we live. Emphasizing these kinds of stories, it's the publisher's hope that the idea of connection, common ground, and community will be infused into our consciousness and become integral to what we choose to strive for and what is considered the norm. I believe that we can all have different perspectives, different viewpoints, different ways of being, and I believe that we can find connection and build community around the things we share in common. So it's just a really nice sentiment and a little something in here, I think, for everyone. And I enjoy the photography as much as anything else. And there's just beautiful, just on astronomy and different night skies, things that you can watch, and then tundra swans from here to myth, that type of thing. And it just goes on and on and on. But anyway, as I was flipping through here, I was like, oh, this is great. What a neat article, The Wonders of Natural Dyeing. It was by Michelle Lancaster. And she homesteads with her family in up on a mountain north in Colville, Washington. And so I'm going to read you, just kind of go over the article a little bit, and then tell you some of the info that I found, as long as I can read my notes. But I just thought, if that's something that you have been interested in or might be interested in, there's some good information resources. And Michelle had been considering a couple things, maybe applying to a graduate program, using her spare time to earn a master's degree. and that she thought about a little bit more and then decided, rather than go through a major institution, she was going to learn doing something and studying topics that were really of interest to her. And so she started with a book called The Organic Grain Grower by Jack Laser, and another book, For the Love of Soil, by Nicole Masters. And she also bought prepared samples of flax, hemp, and stinging nettle to learn how to spin bast fibers. And that bast fibers are fibers from woody plants, which she will talk about in a future article. So if that is something you're interested, I will get the next month's issue and so forth, and until I see that article pop up. So if you're interested, I'll read through it, and if I think that it's something that to share with you, I will be happy to do that. But please let me know if you're interested in that one also, with the next segment of what she's doing. So lastly, the topic of this article says she purchased the natural dye starter kit from the Seattle, Washington-based company called Earth Hues, and I will have the link for that. And I'm just going to get into the information, as we go through this. Now, earthhues.com, it's fair trade, women-owned business, which I thought was pretty cool. And they work in partnership with artisans, natural dyers. They have raw materials, books, events, and classes if you're in or near the Seattle, Washington area. Thing is, to order, they don't have an online purchasing. You do have to call them or email with the info, but they have their pricing and everything listed, so you can go through and see what's what, even just for interest and collecting information. And she goes on to say, natural dyes create beautiful permanent colors on wool in a safe, non-toxic way. And that's what I was particularly interested, doing it in a natural way, as long as the colors don't bleed on to other things. So I learned a lot really on that just in this one article. We have things here that just grow naturally wild, like chamomile or chamomile, and I know that that can be used a lot of the different parts besides just tea, other things. It's good in products. It's good for the skin, but there's a way that you can process that and use that for dyeing, and it probably makes a nice kind of a yellow, buttery yellow color. And we also have elderberry bushes here. We do pick the berries during harvest, and we dry them out in the sun on screens, and then use those to make tea and tinctures and so forth. And if you don't know about elderberries, they're phenomenal, super antioxidant, immune boosting, but they create a beautiful dark purple color. So I was kind of wondering how different fibers might take with elderberry, and if it becomes like a real pale lavender, or if it retains that color. And there are probably other things that can be added to that to make it have more of a staying power, I guess. The natural dye kit includes colors that she could not obtain locally: Osage orange, Kutch, logwood, madder, and cochineal. So these Osage orange, Kutch, and logwood are all from tree bark, and I've heard of logwood and madder, of course, and but I had not heard of Osage orange. And that's very interesting. It's green, and the balls, they look like oranges, the spears, they're green, and they're covered by all these small balls. There's one whole cluster around the whole thing. So they're typically not eaten by humans and animals because they're very bitter, but you can, the seeds can be toasted, and those are edible. It's also known as horse apple hedge or hedge apple tree. And it's the wood that's used, as mentioned, so for a variety of products like fence posts, furniture, and archery bows, and makes really good quality archery bows from what the information I found said. Okay, and then the Osage orange creates a gold or a green. Kutch is the color traditionally used to create khaki. and that's also commonly named catechu, C-A-T-E-C-H-U, catechu. And tanning, dyeing, preserving fishing nets and sails, and it's extracted from various species of acacia tree. So I thought that was interesting, and you know, inquiring minds like to know. And pronounce this, cochineal. Cochineal is a red bug that penetrates cactus. And so it creates a carminic acid when boiled in water. So if you have cosmetics or natural cosmetics that often uses carmine, I thought carmine came from beetles, and perhaps it could, but the cochineal is actually considered a true bug, and it's technically not a beetle. But just a little more trivia for you anyway, in case you're wondering, because some people don't want to have squished bugs in whatever it is that they use, okay? Logwood historically provided a rare black or brilliant purple. Madder also comes from a plant, but is sourced from the root, and it makes dyes into variations of orange to red. So let's see. Oh, interesting that cochineal is primarily harvested in the Andes. So there's an organization up in Colville, the Colville Valley Fiber Friends, of which she's a member, and so they maintain a selection of dye books, the art and science of natural dyes, and that helped her figure out the chemistry behind each dye, how to manipulate the colors by using time, temperature, or mild additives such as alum, calcium chloride, or iron. And then there was another book called Fibershed and Harvesting Color by Rebecca Burgess that helped explain in more detail the individual dye process for different types of natural dyes. And then Jenny Dean's book, Wild Color, has the most comprehensive list of natural dyes, and she provides tips to those who always question math, such as the ratio. And when I went online, I saw that book. It did indeed look like very comprehensive. That might have, like, for someone who is starting out or even maybe more advanced, everything in between. And all of these books that I looked up there are still available on Amazon as of today. And they had tremendously high, almost like all of them near 5-star, if not all 5-star ratings. I didn't go and actually read the reviews to see what people said about them, but I will at some point for my own self. But so with the above books, she was able to just kind of put together enough information to practice with the new dye powders. And the books and encouragement from friends in the club really helped to reassure her that she would not mess it up. So, what I thought was really neat, that she also entered a poster in the Northeastern Washington Fair as an exhibit for the Fiber Barn. And so she goes into that a little bit, the 4 days of the fair. And natural dyes, their variety and intensity astounded her. And also everyone that she showed her dyed wool to. And I'm sure it doesn't necessarily have to be just wool, because on the Earth Hues site that carries some of these natural dyes that I mentioned early on, they have a lot of organic undyed cotton and other fibers and raw materials too. So if they're selling the cotton, I would think, of course, that's going to take really well on the organic cotton as well. And another point where many are light fast, which is great, meaning that they do not fade when exposed to light on a regular basis. In addition to her natural dye kit, she's been practicing with a lot of local natural materials. 2 on our list to finish are walnut shell that creates a rich brown, and woad, W-O-A-D, and indigo blue. And that was one I did not look up, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so woad is a European flowering plant in the cabbage family, and it was formerly grown specifically to use in natural dyeing for blue color dyeing. So I wonder if purple cabbage that we get here would work. That might be interesting. I don't know about sacrificing something to try and test it out. Maybe some cotton string, I don't know, as a kind of low end type of thing, just to see what would happen if it takes, if it is indeed like a light fast, leave it in the sun, what happens after that, if it takes, and how much extracts when you go through the washing process. So what do you think how they turned out? To me, they came out beautifully. Such an array of colors. You've got a little bit of neutral, some warm going into really cool family. I think this whole palette could work really well together. And to me, dyeing yarn has got to be an art, and to be able to do it really well, understanding the chemistry, the ratio, and how different yarns might react and act and take it. So if this was my batch, I would be so super excited. Maybe one of these days I'll have to go to one of their meetings and meet this very intriguing woman. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed this little episode here to share with you today. All right, let me know what you think, and if you are interested in her next installment of what she learns and finds out. And yes, we do have a lot of eagles around here too, which is pretty neat. Okay, well, take care, everyone. Please do. And if you're going through any challenging times, stay strong, okay? Hang in there. Keep the faith. Take good care, everyone, okay? Come back again next time, and I will talk with you soon. Bye for now.